The moment we start to think about what is right and what is wrong, we immediately go into the mind. What happens is we start to let the mind govern, meaning operate how we live, make choices for us that's going to create our reality instead of our consciousness. So the mind, in and of itself, is not a problem. It has its own functions and it's serving us in its own ways. But we need to understand that it is a tool. It is not who we are. Who we are is consciousness. What that means is we need to be in an observing state, meaning we need to be able to separate ourselves from the mind and see that mind is a tool and one of the many tools that we have. That's why when we go into meditative state or do meditation or just in the being, in the present moment, the reason why we are not thinking is because we are one, we are not separate. But the moment that we go into the mind, we are not one. We start to separate everything. We start to analyze, divide, categorize, judge. That's the function of the mind. The more we get caught up and see the world and everything through the lens of the mind, what happens is we're going to be very divisive. We're going to see everything as broken or separate. We start to make enemies. The mind is just a tool, but who we are is in the heart. So there needs to be an integration between the mind and the heart, and when you do that, you are just one. And that is a meditative state. And a lot of people have a hard time going into the meditative state, or they don't know how to start meditation or what that is. Meditation simply means state in the center. Meditate is a state of medium, your center. What it means is every time you are just in this moment and completely there, you are in the meditative state and you are meditating. And so this idea that you have to do this pose, remove your thoughts, it's been ingrained in our mind, and that's what's supposed to be meditation. But when you really understand the essence, we are in a meditative state without you perhaps noticing. When you're completely there, when you're completely having fun, when you're completely engaged with this moment fully, in full dedication and commitment, you're not in the mind where you're expressing yourself, such as drawing, or when you're making something that you're passionate about, you're in this creative state. So all those things, when we are in that state, what happens is we start to live with joy and love. And that's what makes us alive. But all this fear, right, doubt, anxiety, and fear of missing out, that I don't have the time is going by too fast, it's already Friday, right, it's already Monday. All these ideas are generating these emotions that are lower in vibration, such as fear. And one of the things to understand is there's difference between feeling your fear or facing your shadow side and allowing yourself to feel everything, including so-called negative emotions such as fear, doubt, anxiety, worries. These are all necessary when we need to integrate our shadow side with the light. And that process begins with you being in a conscious place, meaning you are an observer of everything, meaning your mind, your emotions, your state, and we call that self-awareness. You're in this state of awareness, meaning consciousness, meaning yourself. You're aligned with your higher self, your soul. And you start to oversee everything, and with that, you're in the driver's seat, because now you know which tool you need to use this time or that time. When you need to work and plan something, you're going to use the tool of the mind to analyze, interpret, right? Make judgment, decisions, planning, strategize, everything. And when you need to feel, you're going to go into the heart, allow yourself to surrender, allow yourself to feel, flow, and just observe even the discomfort. And so that's how you integrate the shadow side with this light, meaning your consciousness, because you are light in essence. So when you are in conscious state, your consciousness, your true being, you are the light, and you are now, as you observe this shadow state, transforming all this fear with love, hate with love, suspicion with love, worries with love. And that's how we transform, and only love can transform fear. It's just like you understand that the shadow and the light, they are the same in essence. So you no longer need to be afraid. You just need to embrace, and then it subsides. It's like when a kid needs an attention and love, what they do is they act out in anger or hatred, resentment. When you start to judge the kid, that gets louder and louder. But when you start to hug them, listen to them, make them feel heard, it subsides. That's the power of love. Where is it coming from? It's coming from within you, because in essence, you are love, you are light. So we need to remember that, how powerful you are. When you understand all of these things, you can start to create and direct your life in the direction that you wish to have. And it is true that sometimes we get caught up in the mind and we get in the unconscious cycle, going on autopilot. And that's when our vibration gets lower. Basically what it means is we are in a lot of fear or anxiety or insecurity, the survival state. So it's going to trigger you with fear of missing out, feeling that you need to win over, you need to secure, operating based on needs and wants only. To instantly shift, what you need to do is you need to just remember who you are and go back to your consciousness, that is love and light. And to do that, you can practice this using your breath. You can just sit anywhere and just breathe in, breathe out. And you can count as you breathe in, 1, 2, 3, and then hold the breath up to count to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And release with the visualization, all the negative energies or the lower energies that's not serving you at this time, whether it's fear, guilt, shame, worries, suspicion. You release, count to 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And when you do that, you are now in the present moment fully, because your attention is in the here and now and within yourself, not outside. It's not all scattered. It is centered and aligned as you just count your breath and pay attention to your breath. And when you do that, the reason why we count to 3, 6, 9, it's about universal energy. And when we do that, because our body and heart is a portal, we are this portal that's connecting, bringing down heaven on earth when we are connected and centered. And basically we are the universe, meaning when you connect with the number 369 through the breath, you connect to the universal energy as you open up your channel. So the more we are in the mind, we have a lot of filters because it's dividing constantly. So when we are not in the mind, or rather we say integrating the mind and the heart as one and just being here, we open up our portals. So that's when we are better able to listen to our intuition, the guidance, the messages that are coming from our soul, because the soul has all the wisdom that you already need. And that means you are wise already. You already have the wisdom within. So to tap into that, a lot of people start to meditate and they get this epiphany or sudden ideas or intuitive hits and clarity, is because they already knew, they already had the answer, but the mind was trying to filter it out through fear. creating the stories and scenarios and imaginations of what ifs, the worst. That's how you can start to practice just being in the state in the moment now when you feel the lower vibrational energy. This is one way to protect your energy field. When we are lower in energy and we start to get into fear and a lot of mind and survival living, we constantly see the world as an enemy that has the potential danger that may cause me harm, that may put me in a powerless state, triggers a lot of fear of being controlled by the external, where I can't do anything with my free will. And this is just all an illusion based on the conditions. But the more we live in this thought, what happens is we start to create an enemy, because the ego needs an enemy to fight against, win over, dominate in order to feel superior over others. It feeds on this fear. To get out of this fear, you need to integrate the mind and the heart through consciousness. When you have consciousness, you can still feel this fear when you get triggered and integrate and transform. And that's one of the purposes of healing, growth, and empowerment. But when we are not in a state of consciousness, we go on an autopilot. And so we start to get sucked into these negative thoughts. And something to understand is sometimes or occasionally, when you are really in a lower vibrational state, your aura is very weak, because we all have auras. Not everyone sees it, but people like me or someone has some abilities can see the auras or feel the energy. And when you are in this place and it's weakened, meaning that it has tears and holes, and so other energies can come in and affect your state, meaning when you talk to someone who's in a very negative state or cynical or judgmental, you talk to them and you feel like they're judging you, your vibration gets lower. That's energy is contagious. That's what it means. Or when you talk to someone who's very happy, loving, joyful, we also take on their energy as well. And so in order for us to be self-sufficient and stay in our love and light in our heart center and start radiating, it's important to understand about the aura and what it does. And so when we are in this lower vibration of fear, suspicion, and anxiety and insecurity, and you're in an unconscious state, meaning you are unaware that you are feeling these things, or you have a habit of escaping or denying or justifying some sort of these habits or patterns, then there are entities around. There are many entities, and they like to hatch their eggs on unconscious mind because it's easier for them to manipulate you and take over your mind. So the thoughts that you're thinking constantly, it lowers your confidence, and you start to doubt, or you start to create stories and live inside them and see everyone as your enemies. What happens is these thoughts may not be yours. You are under the influence of other entity. When they come in unknowingly. When someone is in a really low vibrational state, they're vulnerable to be attacked with psychic attacks, like suicidal thoughts to an extreme, or something that is very dark. You want to poke yourself, or you want to poke someone else with a knife or something like that as you are cooking. The sudden hits of thoughts that are passing by that are very, very extreme, that's against your will, could be one of the psychic attacks. So as you understand these things, when you are in that state somehow, and when you start to find yourself thinking very negative or having these kind of psychic attack experiences, now you're going to be aware. And in that moment, what you can do is just say, get out. Because when you cling that other entities or lower vibrations cannot enter your energy body, they cannot come in without your consent. So everything we do is based on our own agreement, whether it's conscious or unconscious. So when we allow something What it means is we agree to that belief that I am lesser than, or I'm not worthy of, or I am unlovable, something like that. When someone says something, I agree with that, and that's when I identify with what they say and see myself as additional being. You want to basically stay in your awareness and consciousness throughout the entire journey of your shadow work, meaning facing your fear, hidden dark stuff. It's going to come up through emotional triggers, and they happen because they want you to see these things that need to be released. And that's when our consciousness plays a key role, and you want to observe and then transform, integrate. What it means is you are understanding now this shadow. There's no need to be afraid because it is the same in essence with light, your being. So you don't need to be afraid anymore because you know that you are the light, you are the love. So I hope this helps, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye.